Hey everybody, welcome to Congress. I'm Congressman Mike Gallagher, and I represent Wisconsin's 8th District in the House of Representatives. As you know, the U.S. Capitol is truly a beacon for democracy and one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. It's an honor to work here, and being able to share its history with you all is one of my favorite parts of this job. But unfortunately, for nearly 2 years, tours of the U.S. Capitol have been closed. This is crazy. This, after all, is the people's house, and as the rest of the country is open, it simply doesn't make sense why constituents can't come tour the Capitol while they're here in D.C. What's even more crazy is that while Speaker Pelosi has continued to keep the Capitol closed for tours for members of the House, the Senate just announced it would allow Senate offices to schedule tours. Again, this makes absolutely no sense. Since Speaker Pelosi still won't allow you to get a tour of the Capitol, today I'm going to take you on one. In this virtual tour, I'll guide you through some of the most important rooms in the building, starting right here in my office. This is where my staff and I answer your calls, your emails, your letters. We brainstorm new legislative ideas, and in normal times, we'd meet you to start your Capitol tour right here in this office. And if we were in person, I'd have to take a picture with you, our cow, and everybody else and sign the guest book. And we have a whole fun process we go through. And we can't wait to have you back in our office once Capitol tours open up again. After stopping at our office, my staff or I would bring you to the Visitor Center. It's the newest addition to the Capitol, completed in 2008. It's here that you'll find a museum on the evolution of the Capitol building. You have access to a video that discusses general Capitol history, and also you'd be able to see the 19.5-foot plaster replica of the Statue of Freedom. The bronze version of her sits on top of the Capitol's dome. From there, we'll enter the Crypt. The purpose of the Crypt is mostly structural. These 40 columns alone hold up the entire ceiling and the 8.9 million pound dome. The arches are designed to distribute and carry the enormous weight of the columns and keep the building standing. It's hard to believe, but these were constructed without power tools or modern equipment. The original architect of the Capitol wanted it to be the center of Washington, D.C. The star on the floor of the Crypt is where the 4 quadrants of the city meet. Placed around the edges of the Crypt are statues representing the 13 original colonies. The people of these statues, like Roger Sherman, who helped draft the Constitution, helped form our nation. Although this room is called the Crypt, no one is actually buried here. It was originally thought to be where George Washington would be buried, but he passed away before construction was complete, and so he was laid to rest on his estate in Mount Vernon. Moving on to the main attraction, one of the most impressive rooms of the Capitol, the Rotunda. The Rotunda is located directly under the Capitol's iconic dome in the center of the building. The Rotunda is the ceremonial hub of Congress, and it's where elected officials and public figures have lied in state. An interesting fact, during the Civil War, this room was used as a hospital. There's also some really impressive artwork in the Capitol Rotunda. Paintings show different important scenes from American history, like the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, as well as the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The Rotunda also contains an impressive collection of statues commemorating important figures in American history. I like to think we can all guess who my favorite former president and statue is in the Rotunda. It's Dwight David Eisenhower, or Ike, as we fondly call him. Another one of our great presidents, Abraham Lincoln's statue, sits on the Rotunda, and it was sculpted actually by a Wisconsinite. Vinnie Ream, an artist from Madison, Wisconsin, created the famous statue. Vinnie was the first female artist ever commissioned by the U.S. government when she was only 18 years old in 1866. She completed the statue on the night of Lincoln's assassination. Another example of groundbreaking work that Wisconsinites have offered to our nation. Next, let's walk over to Statuary Hall. Interestingly enough, before it was a hall of statues, it was the House of Representatives chamber. From 1807 to 1857, this was one of the rooms where Congress made laws. As our country expanded and gained more states and more representatives as a result, we had to move to a bigger room. In 1864, Congress changed the room to National Statuary Hall. State legislatures are able to choose 2 people from their state's history to be displayed in the U.S. Capitol, and Wisconsin statues are both here. The first statue is of the French missionary and explorer Jacques Marquette. The statue was sculpted by an artist, Gaetano Trentinovet, in 1896. Marquette explored across the Midwest, following Lake Michigan to Green Bay and up the Fox River to its headwaters. In order to reach the Wisconsin River, he had to portage 2 miles, which is how the town of Portage, Wisconsin got its name. Marquette was very influential in the shaping of our modern-day Wisconsin. Our second statue is of Robert M. La Follette, or Fighting Bob La Follette, as he was known. Sculpted by Joe Davidson in 1929, La Follette represents the innovative thinking that Wisconsin brings to the table. Elected governor in 1900, he was critical to implementing the Wisconsin idea that became an important element of the progressive movement in the University of Wisconsin. Fighting Bob also worked for reforms like direct election of senators, and he championed the conservation movement. His presence is felt all over our state, like in UW-Madison's Robert M. La Follette School of Public Affairs. The Capitol is the center of American government, but it is also a witness to history and a symbol of democracy. Thank you for coming on this tour with me, and I hope you are as inspired by the power of this building as I am every time I see it.